The man in the corner to believe. Casino lights were bright, music played loud in the background, and laughter echoed from every corner. It was a Friday night in Las Vegas, and the place was alive. Chips clicked on the tables, drinks flowed like rivers, and people were chasing dreams of luck. Nobody noticed the man sitting quietly near the corner table. He wore a plain black cap and a dark jacket. He didn't gamble. He didn't drink. He just watched. What no one realized was, the man was Keanu Reeves. He didn't come to gamble or show off. He had quietly walked in without security, without cameras, without any announcement. He just wanted to be there. For someone. He had promised a friend he'd come. That friend, Tommy, was a former casino worker, now wheelchair-bound after an accident that happened on the job. Tonight, Tommy was being honored at the casino, but the managers had told him he'd only get a few minutes on stage. No grand moment, no proper thanks. Keanu didn't like that. He didn't say much, but he saw everything. He sat in the back and waited. The staff didn't recognize him at first. He looked too humble, too quiet. To them, he was just another nobody, sitting in a reserved zone, without a wristband. A young waitress, Jenny, approached him kindly. She smiled and asked if he needed anything. Keanu simply said, "Just water, thank you." She brought him the drink, noticed his tired eyes, and felt something in her heart. "Are you okay, sir?" she asked. Keanu smiled gently. "I'm just here for a friend." Meanwhile, inside the security booth, two guards watched the cameras. One of them, Frank, pointed at Keanu's image on the screen. "Who's that guy? He's been sitting there for over an hour. No ID, no band. Looks suspicious." The other guard, Mike, shrugged. "Probably someone sneaking in for free drinks. Let's go deal with him." What happened next would change everything. Frank and Mike walked straight to Keanu's table. Their tone wasn't polite. "Sir, this is a private area. Show your wristband or leave." Keanu stood up slowly. He didn't argue. He just said, "I was told I could sit here. I'm waiting for the event." Frank raised his voice. "Don't talk back. You're trespassing. Come with us." They grabbed his arm. The waitress, Jenny, saw this and ran toward them. "Wait. Stop. He's not doing anything wrong." But the guards pushed past her. The crowd turned their heads. A few people gasped. Someone even whispered, "Is that Keanu Reeves?" But the guards didn't stop. They pulled him by the arm, dragging him away. Keanu didn't fight back. Not even once. He let them walk him through the casino like a criminal. Then something strange happened. A soft voice echoed from the stage. "Wait, that's my friend." Everyone turned. It was Tommy, the man in the wheelchair. His voice cracked with emotion. "That man is Keanu Reeves. He promised me he'd be here. And he came." The room went silent. Even the music stopped. The guards froze. The crowd whispered louder. "Keanu, the actor, he's here." Suddenly, everyone could see it. The face under the cap, the quiet eyes, the humble smile. It really was him. A woman dropped her drink. Someone clapped their hand over their mouth in shock. Keanu looked down. He didn't want attention. But the moment had already exploded. The manager came running in, sweat on his forehead. "Mr. Reeves, I'm so sorry. We didn't know." But Keanu raised his hand and said gently, "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to him." He pointed to Tommy. The manager turned red. He nodded and walked to the stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, we were supposed to give a small thank you to a man who gave 20 years of his life to this casino, but we failed. We didn't show him the respect he deserves. Tonight, we honor Tommy, and we thank the man who reminded us what kindness looks like." The whole room stood up and clapped. Keanu helped Tommy roll forward on stage. Jenny stood beside them, tears in her eyes. And in that moment, no one saw a Hollywood star. They saw a human being. But what they didn't know was, this was only the beginning. Because something unexpected was about to happen outside the casino doors. Something that would test everything Keanu believed in. The homeless boy outsideth. Night outside the casino was cold. The neon lights flickered against the wet sidewalk. People walked past in shiny suits and short dresses, laughing, holding drinks, chasing luck, and forgetting the world around them. But one boy didn't move. He sat on the ground outside the back entrance of the casino. His name was Eli. He was 12. His hoodie was too thin for the cold. His shoes had holes, and his stomach growled like a wild animal. He hadn't eaten since yesterday. His mom had disappeared a week ago, again, and he didn't know where to go. All he had was an old plastic bag with a blanket, a few coins, and a crumpled photo of him and his mom from better days. People passed him. Some looked at him with pity. Some ignored him. Some even told him to go find a shelter. But Eli didn't know where that was. Inside the casino, the energy was different now. People were still buzzing about Keanu Reeves. Many had taken out phones. The news was spreading fast. But Keanu didn't stay on stage long. He whispered something to Tommy, nodded to Jenny, and quietly stepped off. He didn't like being the center of attention. He found a back hallway and slipped out the side door, pulling his cap low again. He just wanted some air, maybe a moment alone, and that's when he saw Eli. The boy sat with his arms tucked tight around his knees. His face was pale, his eyes tired. Keanu stopped. He watched for a second. Then he walked over slowly and knelt beside him. "Hey," he said gently. "You okay?" Eli looked up, unsure if this was a trick. "I'm fine," he mumbled, his voice dry. Keanu smiled. "You don't look fine." The boy didn't answer. Keanu sat down next to him, right there on the cold ground. Eli looked shocked. "You don't have to sit here." "Sure I do," Keanu said softly. "I used to sit on sidewalks too, long time ago." The boy frowned. "You did?" Keanu nodded. "Yeah, life's hard sometimes." Eli blinked fast, holding back tears. "My mom's gone. Again. I think something happened to her." Keanu listened. He didn't interrupt. He didn't act like he knew better. He just let the boy talk. Eli showed him the photo. Keanu took it carefully, looked at it, and said, "You love her a lot, don't you?" Eli nodded, biting his lip. Keanu put a hand on his shoulder. "We'll find her." Eli whispered. Keanu nodded again. "Yeah, you're not alone now." Then Keanu stood up and walked back inside the casino, leaving Eli confused. Eli thought maybe he was joking, or maybe he was just being nice. But 5 minutes later, Keanu came back. He had a bag in his hand. Inside was a warm burger, fries, and water. He sat down again and gave it to Eli. "Eat," he said simply. Eli grabbed the food with shaking hands. "Thank you, but why are you helping me?" Keanu looked at him with a serious face. "Because someone once helped me when I was lost." After the boy finished eating, Keanu pulled out his phone. He made a few quiet calls. Then he waited with Eli for over an hour. He didn't complain. He didn't leave. He just stayed, like a quiet guardian in the dark. Then a black van pulled up. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, dressed in jeans and a rescue jacket. Her name was Marisol. She ran a safe house for homeless children just a few miles away. Keanu walked her over to Eli. "This is Marisol. She's going to help you. You'll be safe." Eli looked at him, scared again. "Will you come too?" Keanu knelt one more time. "I'll visit. I promise, and we'll find your mom." The boy hugged him. Not a quick hug, but the kind of hug that says thank you for seeing me. Marisol gently guided Eli into the van. As they drove off, Eli looked back out the window, waving through the glass. Keanu stood alone in the cold. He didn't take a photo. He didn't post about it. He didn't tell anyone. But inside the casino, Jenny had seen the whole thing from the staff door. She wiped a tear from her eye. She whispered to herself, "Who is this man?" What no one knew was, the story wasn't over, because just hours later, something darker would rise inside that same casino. Something that would test Keanu's strength, patience, and heart. And this time, there would be danger. The VIP room and the Broken Man Casino had calmed down. Most guests were still whispering about Keanu Reeves. Some were checking their phones to see if it was real. Others had already posted blurry photos and short videos. But Keanu was nowhere to be seen now. He had returned to a quiet spot near the corner bar. Jenny brought him tea, no questions asked. She didn't want to ruin his peace. But peace wasn't going to last. On the top floor of the casino, far from the regular tables and slot machines, There was a VIP lounge. Rich men in suits and gold watches sat around polished tables, smoking cigars and tossing chips worth more than some people's monthly rent. One man stood out among them, Vincent Romano. Everyone called him Vinny V. He was rich, loud, proud, and dangerous. Vinny had lost a large bet that night. Very large, nearly $500,000 on one hand of poker, and he was not happy. He shouted at the dealer, threw his glass against the wall, even accused another player of cheating. The staff didn't know what to do. No one ever said no to Vinny, not even the owner. He donated to the casino, owned properties across Vegas, and had people who worked for him in ways nobody talked about. Tonight, Vinny had drunk too much, and he wanted to take out his anger on someone. "Bring me someone," he told one of his men. "Someone new, someone weak. I want to play poker again and win this time." His bodyguard, Marco, walked through the casino, scanning faces. Then he saw Jenny talking softly to Keanu. Marco didn't recognize him, just saw a quiet man in plain clothes, alone, perfect. He walked over and tapped Keanu's shoulder. "You want to play in the VIP room?" he asked. Keanu looked up. "No, thank you. Not asking," Marco growled. "The boss invited you." Jenny stepped forward. "He's not a guest. Leave him alone." But Marco grabbed Keanu's arm roughly. Before Jenny could scream, Keanu stood up, calm, firm, and still quiet. "Don't touch me again," Marco sneered. "You think you're tough, old man?" Keanu didn't reply. Security began to notice. Whispers grew. Phones came out again. And in a matter of seconds, 2 more guards joined Marco. "Move," Marco ordered. Keanu didn't move. And that's when it happened. Marco pushed Keanu hard. Keanu stumbled back, bumping into a table. Drinks spilled. Chairs crashed. Gasps filled the room. Jenny shouted, "Stop. Do you even know who he is?" Someone yelled, "That's Keanu Reeves." Marco froze. The other guards blinked in confusion. But Vinny didn't care. From upstairs, he shouted, "Bring him anyway." Keanu stood still, dusted off his jacket, and looked at Marco. "You're making a mistake." Security hesitated. But now, the casino manager had rushed to the scene. He saw Keanu, saw the angry crowd, and saw trouble growing. Double quotes, "Sir, is everything okay?" he asked, shaking. Keanu didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward Jenny and said, "It's okay. I'll go." Jenny grabbed his sleeve. "Please don't. You don't owe them anything." Keanu looked at her kindly. "But maybe someone up there needs more than poker." With that, he followed Marco and the guards up the stairs. In the VIP room, Vinny laughed loudly when he saw Keanu walking. Finally, someone knew. He waved at the empty seat across from him. "Sit. Play. Let's see what you've got." Keanu didn't sit. He looked around the room. Smoke, greed, cold eyes. "Why me?" Keanu asked. Vinny smirked. "Because you look like a nobody, and I like beating nobodies." Keanu stepped forward slowly and said in a quiet voice, "Everyone in this room has more money than they need. But how many of you know what real pain feels like? Real loss, real hunger." Vinny leaned back, annoyed. "Don't come here preaching. Deal the cards." But no one moved. Then, unexpectedly, the poker dealer, a thin man in his 60s with tired eyes, took off his gloves and said, "I can't do this anymore." Vinny shouted, "What?" The dealer looked at Keanu, then at the others. "This man, he's trying to remind us who we are. I used to believe in people, but sitting here every night, watching the rich throw away fortunes while the poor sleep, outside this building, I forgot." He walked out. Vinny stood up, furious. "You," he growled at Keanu. "You ruined my night." He marched forward, fists clenched. Marco tried to stop him. "Boss, he's not just some guy." Vinny didn't care. He raised his hand to strike. And in that moment, Keanu caught his wrist in mid-air. The whole room froze. His grip was steady, not violent, but unshakable. Keanu's single quotes S voice was soft. "This isn't the way." Vinny trembled, not from pain, but from something else. Fear, shame. Keanu let go. Vinny stepped back, shocked. And for the first time in years, Vinny Romano, the king of VIP nights, sat down in silence. What no one knew was that outside the casino, Eli had just arrived at the shelter, and something there would soon connect back to this very room, because the truth about Ellie's missing mother was about to come out. The missing mother at the shelter, Marisol helped Eli into a clean room with a soft bed, a warm blanket, and a bowl of soup. It wasn't much, but to Eli, it felt like heaven. For the first time in days, he wasn't cold. He wasn't scared. He wasn't alone. But the sadness in his eyes didn't fade after he ate. Marisol sat with him and asked, "Can you tell me more about your mom? Anything that might help us find her?" Eli nodded slowly. He reached into his plastic bag and pulled out a small notebook. Inside were messy sketches, little writings, and notes his mom used to make, shopping lists, reminders, and addresses. He flipped to one page where she had scribbled a name, Vinny Romano. Marisol single quotes S face changed. She knew that name. "Where did you see this?" she asked. "She told me she used to work at a fancy place," Eli said. "She said Vinny helped her get a job there, but she never liked being around him." Marisol stood up slowly, her heart pounding. She had lived in Vegas long enough to know about Vinny Romano. People whispered his name in fear. She remembered hearing stories about women who worked in his clubs, how they were treated, how they disappeared. "Eli," she said softly, "I think your mom may have been in trouble." Eli looked down, tears filling his eyes. "Do you think she's gone?" Marisol knelt beside him and shook her head. "Not if we start looking now." She stepped out and called someone she trusted, a local policewoman named Officer Ramos. Together, they began to trace Ellie's mom, starting with that name, Vinny Romano. Meanwhile, back at the casino, Keanu sat alone at the corner bar again. The VIP room had emptied quietly. Vinny Romano had not returned. The mood in the casino had shifted. People no longer stared at Keanu like a celebrity. They looked at him like a mystery. Some whispered about what happened upstairs. Some just nodded respectfully as they passed. Jenny came back with another cup of tea. "How do you stay so calm?" she asked. Keanu smiled gently. "I just try to listen before I speak. I heard about the boy outside," she said. "You didn't have to help him, but you did." Keanu took a slow sip of tea. "When I was young, someone helped me, too. They didn't know who I was. They just saw a boy in pain." Jenny didn't press. She could feel the story behind his words, but she respected the silence. Just then, Keanu's phone buzzed. It was a message from Marisol. "Eli gave me a name, Vinny Romano. I think his mom worked for him. Something's not right." Keanu stared at the screen for a long time. He remembered the look in Vinny's eyes, the guilt, the rage, the fear when Keanu had stopped his punch. There was more to the story. Keanu stood up. "Where are you going?" Jenny asked. "To make things right," Keanu said quietly. He made a call to Officer Ramos, then left the casino on foot. The air outside was colder now, the streets quieter, but his mind was clear. He knew where he had to go. At the same time, Vinny Romano was pacing inside his private hotel suite. Marco stood in the corner, nervous. "We have a problem," Vinny muttered. "You think he knows something?" Marco asked. Vinny nodded. "He looked at me like he knew." Marco leaned in. "Should we leave town?" Vinny shook his head. "No, we clean this up." He pulled out his phone, about to make a call when someone knocked on the door. They both froze. "Who is it?" Vinny called. "Keanu," said the voice from the other side. Vinny's face turned pale. He opened the door slowly. Keanu stood there, calm but serious. "Can we talk?" he asked. Vinny stepped aside without a word. Keanu walked in, closed the door, and sat down. The room was quiet. Marco stayed near the door, tense like a coiled spring. Keanu looked at Vinny. "There's a boy, his name is Eli. His mother worked for you." Vinny didn't reply. Keanu continued. "He hasn't seen her in over a week. You know where she is, don't you?" Vinny swallowed hard. I didn't do anything to her." "But you know something," Keanu said. Vinny's hands trembled. He stood up, paced, then sat back down. "She worked in one of my private clubs," Vinny said. "She saw something she wasn't supposed to, a deal. Some guys didn't like that. She disappeared after that night. You let her go, Keanu said quietly. Vinny shook his head. I tried to warn her, I swear, but she ran. We couldn't find her. Keanu leaned forward. We need to, tonight. Vinny stared at the floor. Why do you care? She's just some woman. Keanu's voice was firm but gentle. She's his mother, and every child deserves to be held by the one person who never gives up on them. Vinny looked up, his eyes wet. You don't know what it's like to lose someone and not be able to bring them back. Keanu nodded slowly. I do. There was a silence that lasted longer than a minute. Finally, Vinny stood up. There's a warehouse on the east side. Old place. She used to hide there when she was scared. Maybe she's still alive. Keanu stood, too. Then let's go. Vinny hesitated. You'd trust me after everything? Keanu nodded once. I trust that it's not too late to do the right thing. Outside, the night grew darker. Headlights cut through the shadows as Keanu, Vinny, and Marco drove toward the east side of Vegas. The warehouse loomed ahead. Quiet, empty looking. But inside, a woman waited. Cold, hungry, scared. Her name was Lena, and she was Ellie's mother. The warehouse truth car rolled to a slow stop in front of a rusted old warehouse. Weeds grew through the cracks in the pavement. One of the windows was broken. The other was covered with an old piece of plywood. The place looked forgotten by time. Vinny sat in the front seat, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Keanu, calm as ever, sat beside him. Marco waited in the back, scanning the area nervously. She used to come here, Vinny said softly, when she was scared. I never asked. Why? Keanu nodded. Let's find her. They got out quietly. The warehouse creaked as they pushed open the metal door. The smell of dust and oil filled the air. Broken chairs, cardboard boxes, and old crates were scattered around. Keanu walked in first. Each step echoed like a whisper through the dark space. Lena. He called gently. No reply. Then they heard it. A cough, faint, from the far corner. They moved quickly, flashlights in hand. Vinny's light landed on a figure huddled beneath a tarp, wrapped in a worn-out coat. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen from tears and lack of sleep. Keanu dropped to his knees beside her. Lena, he whispered. Her eyes blinked open slowly. She looked at Keanu with confusion, then fear, then disbelief. Who are you? A friend. Keanu said, Ellie's safe. He's been looking for you. Lena gasped. Eli, he's okay. Keanu said softly, he's at a shelter, warm, safe, waiting for you. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Vinny stood back, frozen. He had seen many things in life. Violence, greed, betrayal, but not this kind of pain, not this kind of reunion waiting to happen. Lena tried to sit up, but winced. Keanu gently helped her. Easy. You've been out here too long. She nodded weakly. They were looking for me. The men. The ones who did the deal. I saw them. Keanu looked at Vinny. She's not safe yet. Not until they're caught. Vinny turned away, ashamed. They were connected to me. I didn't know how far it would go. Keanu stood and walked toward him. You still have a choice, he said. Protect her now. Tell the truth. Clean up what you helped create. Vinny looked at Lena. She was crying quietly now, mumbling Ellie's name over and over like a prayer. He nodded. I'll make the call. He stepped outside and dialed Officer Ramos. Inside, Marco handed Lena a water bottle and a blanket from the back of the truck. For the first time in days, she had hoped. An hour later, flashing red and blue lights lit up the warehouse entrance. Officer Ramos and her team had arrived. Keanu met her outside and explained everything. Lena gave her statement. Vinny gave the names of the men involved in the deal. Ramos promised protection, arrests, and full investigation. Lena was taken to the hospital. Vinny was taken in for questioning, not under arrest yet, but fully cooperating. As the police cars drove off, Keanu stood alone by the side of the road. The wind tugged at his coat. A soft voice broke the silence. You always show up like that. It was Officer Ramos. Keanu smiled faintly. Only when someone's lost, she chuckled. Well, they should name a streak after you. Keanu shook his head. Just find the people who hurt her. That's all. "We will," she promised. "Thanks to you." Keanu's phone buzzed again. A message from Marisol. "Ellie's awake. He's asking for her." Keanu replied, "Tell him she's coming." He rode with the ambulance back to the hospital. When they arrived, Keanu stayed back as Lena was brought inside. She looked out the window, searching the crowd. Then she saw him. She pressed her hand to the glass. Keanu nodded. The nurse wheeled her away. Inside the room, Eli sat up, his eyes wide when he saw her. "Mom," he whispered. She rushed to him, tears falling as she held him close. "I'm here, baby. I'm here, outside." Keanu leaned against the wall, watching through the half-closed curtain. He didn't go in. He didn't need to. The moment belonged to them. Marisol walked up beside him. "You could stay," she offered. Keanu smiled. "This is their story now. You did more than most ever would," she said. "Maybe," Keanu replied. "But maybe we all should." He began to walk away, disappearing into the night like a shadow. But just as he reached the end of the hallway, Ellie's voice called out behind him, "Wait, Mr. Keanu." Keanu turned. Eli was standing in the doorway, holding his mother's hand. "Thank you," the boy said. Keanu smiled. "Take care of her. You're her hero now." Eli nodded, eyes shining. But deep inside that hospital, something else was about to happen. Someone unexpected was watching. Someone who recognized Keanu, not just as an actor, but as someone from the past. Someone with a secret. And soon, that secret would come back to light. The final memory. Keanu walked down the hospital corridor, his boots echoing softly on the tile floor. He thought the night was over. He thought Eli was safe, Lena was healing, and Vinny had taken his first step toward redemption. He believed the pain had reached its end. But something still waited in the quiet. Someone had seen him. Someone from another life. A nurse stood at the end of the hallway, frozen in place, holding a medical chart. Her hands shook slightly. Her name tag read Rosa Alvarez. She was in her 40s. With kind eyes and tired lines on her face, she whispered his name under her breath. "Keanu." Keanu paused and looked up. Their eyes met. He didn't recognize her at first, but she remembered everything. She stepped closer, her voice soft. "You don't remember me, do you?" Keanu tilted his head slightly. "I'm sorry. Should I?" She smiled, not with bitterness, but with quiet wonder. "My brother. His name was Daniel. You sat with him when no one else would. 20 years ago, when he was dying. You came every Thursday, no cameras, no press. You just showed up, brought him books, read to him." Keanu blinked, memories rising slowly. Rosa continued, "You were filming nearby, and someone told you about a lonely patient who had no family left, no visitors. You sat with him for hours, just listening. You were the only person who made him smile in his final weeks." Keanu looked down for a moment, then met her gaze again. "Daniel, he loved stories, always asked for the next chapter." "Yes," Rosa said, tears in her eyes. "You gave him something no doctor could." Keanu didn't speak for a few seconds. Then he simply said, "He gave me something, too." Rosa wiped her tears and stepped aside. "You've always been this man, haven't you? The world just caught up." Keanu gave a small smile and walked past her quietly. As he exited the hospital, the sky was turning soft blue. The first light of morning touched the tops of the buildings. Vegas was quieter in the early hours, the city of noise finally catching its breath. Keanu stepped out onto the sidewalk. And there, waiting near the curb, was Jenny. She held a paper cup of tea. "You forgot this," she said, smiling shyly. Keanu chuckled and took it. "How did you even know I'd be here?" I asked around. She shrugged. "You leave traces, not footprints, heartprints." Keanu looked at the rising sun. "They found each other," he said. "Yes," Jenny replied. "Because of you." He shook his head. "Because someone believed they were worth finding." Jenny walked beside him for a few steps. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why do you help strangers? You could live in luxury. Hide away, never deal with any of this." Keanu sipped the tea slowly, then answered, "Because I've been a stranger, I've felt invisible. And I promised myself, if I ever had the power to make someone feel seen, I'd use it." Jenny nodded, moved by the simplicity of his answer. They stood there for a moment in silence, watching the city wake up behind them. In a hospital room filled with soft light, Eli and Lena held hands as they looked out the window. They didn't need anything else. They had each other. Across town, Vinny Romano sat at a police desk, signing papers, handing over names, ready to testify against the men he once feared. For the first time, he wasn't afraid. And somewhere deep in the shelter office, Marisol began making room for more children. She said one thing as she hung a small photo of Eli and Lena on the wall. "People like Keanu remind us to keep going." That afternoon, a quiet post appeared online that a photo of Keanu sitting on the sidewalk with a homeless boy. No hashtags, no tags, no name. Just one caption: "Real heroes don't wear capes. They bring burgers, sit in silence, and change lives." And it went viral. But Keanu never saw it. He was already gone, on a plane, headed to another town, another quiet corner where someone else might be hurting, waiting, needing to be seen.